Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. As we shift from 2023 into 2024, I made some genuine resolutions. Not so much because of the new year, but because I feel like it's time to start shaping a new future. One, I'm going to quit tap dancing around it and embrace what it is I feel like I should be doing right now, and I'll talk more on that in a minute. Number two, I'm going to take that responsibility a little more seriously, and I'll get to that a little later. And then third, I'm going to quit being so fearful in living this life. I'm just tired of the way things have been. Um, so going back to what I'm supposed to be doing, I have this friend circle, and we enjoy having these deep conversations. In most cases, we just sit around and talk about whatever's on our minds at the moment. We'll go down any rabbit hole that we just so happen to open up. Uh, and in doing this, it's made me realize just how differently I view the world and how I interact with it as compared to my peers. I've always wrestled with titles. I've come to realize that as soon as you slap a label on something, you're also automatically limiting its potential. The catch 22 of that is, without putting a label on it, it makes it very difficult to communicate it with others. As with most of existence, at least from what I've come to observe in my experience of it, situations almost always boil down to a choice between two things, and you can only choose one option or the other because they create a paradox of themselves, meaning that both can be true, but both can't be true at the same time. That's why it boils down to having to make the choice. I'll explain more about that concept in a later discussion when we go into a deeper dive. But anyway, uh, in these discussions, a couple of my friends have even jokingly called me the second coming of Buddha. I'm not at all comfortable with that because of both the implications and the associations that go along with it. However, I have come to accept that the reality of the situation is that I am, in fact, a modern day philosopher. It is what it is, and I am who I am. And in the near future, I'll be explaining myself on that point a little better. But to clarify, I neither claim for myself beliefs or claim to represent any religion. I've actually come to consider myself an omnist at this point. An omnist is someone who doesn't follow any direct religion, but they find some truth in all religions. In my next video, I'm going to tell the story of how I got to where I'm at in my thought process that kind of led me to that belief. Anyway, me embracing the mantle of a philosopher has little to actually do with religion. It's just a lot of people associate that. And the reason I say little is because religion actually does have an impact on how some people think and act, which is a huge part of what we'll be dealing with together here on my channel. I'm not putting myself out here in order to tell people what to think. When I first started this crusade, I mistakenly thought I was supposed to be teaching people how to think. But that's also not the truth of what I feel like I need to be doing. Our thoughts and the way we process them are beautifully unique to each individual. I'm doing what I'm doing because I'm giving people things to think about and then come to their own realizations based on that. I've observed that many people don't even really think too much outside of their own bubble of reality. Things that are right up in front and in their face go ignored, and their attention gets redirected elsewhere. And this is a problem because the things that are going ignored and unrealized are extremely important. And the distractions, they're getting almost as severe in their potential for causing damage as the things that are being ignored. So the two are coming together. It's a very pivotal point. Um, And again, I'll discuss those ideas more deeply in my next video. Because as a philosopher, my only credentials are my own life experiences and how I experience and process them. I have no formal education or previous experience in the role as a philosopher. On paper, I really have no claim to the title, but again, it is what it is, and I am what I am. Because of my experiences and the way that I see things, I've come to understand quite a few things. And I feel an obligation to bring awareness to certain things that I've observed in my unique point of view. And yes, I'll be explaining even more of that in another future video. Which brings me to how I'll be taking a new approach to this channel. Up until now, I've just been tinkering. I would just record a video whenever the whim struck me and share whatever idea I was having and usually still developing in that moment. Now that I intend to start taking myself more seriously, I think I should add some structure to what I'm trying to do here. I have my next few videos mapped out. In my next one, I'll be giving you some backstory on who I am and why I do what I do, as well as what I think that actually is. The one after that will be me going deeper into my observations and the motivation that those observations give me to do what I'm doing. In that video, I'll explaining two very real potential futures that I think we're on the brink of now. But it can only be one or the other, so it's kind of up to us. And the one after that will be more of a deep dive into the warning signs that I've been noticing that make me believe in those futures and why they are more or less probable. This potential future that I can clearly see is closer to becoming a reality than it seems most people are willing to acknowledge or accept. Now, to clarify a bit more, the only difference I'm making to my channel is adding structure. I'll still be coming on here giving you some philosophical food for thought. I'm not changing what I do here. I'm just changing how I'll be doing it. I'm not going to make any empty promise of better scheduling my video drops, but I do intend to do these more frequently and with more focus. Also, yeah, I do have a rudimentary knowledge of video editing. I could add music and fancy effects and images to spice up the videos, but that would distract from the most important part of what I'm doing, which is the message. So I'm going to keep these things very simple so the focus can stay where it needs to. I mean, no offense, but if you need jazzy sights and sounds just to keep your attention on the content that I'm presenting, then I don't think that deep thinking videos are quite in your wheelhouse. Sorry, not sorry. And this brings me back around to my third and final resolution of being less fearful. I can't effectively do what it is I think I should be doing here if I'm constantly afraid of it. It's also a bit of a more personal resolution regarding on how I've been living my own life. Before I bring this video to a close, I do want to go over something important. So much so that I chose it as my tagline moving forward. This will be the foundation that we will be building on from here on out. For anyone that follows me on Facebook, you'll know that I've already written on this topic. So this shouldn't be very much new material for you. But I know that not many people follow me, either there on Facebook or here on YouTube. But this is imperative to us moving forward and to do what I want to do here. We need to talk about accountability. We all have accountability. The problem is that most people in our modern society associate the word accountability with blame, which is actually incorrect, and responsibility, which is closer to the mark, but not on the level that most people seem to realize. Accountability is actually about power. We all possess the power to shape our reality. We do this very simply by making our own choices. What we choose to do, say, and think. We cannot choose for anything outside of ourselves. However, we do all possess the ability or power to influence those external factors. We can choose how we deal with the things that we cannot control or choose for ourselves. And when you stop and really think about that, you realize that shaping an entire reality is a lot of power. Perhaps some would even call it godlike power. And we all possess that power as humans being. Reality isn't the actual physical world around us. Reality is subjective to each individual that's experiencing it. Reality is our individual perception of the world around us. I think, therefore I am. I'm an observer, and this is what I observe, which can be very different than what someone else observes. But, to quote Marvel, with great power comes great responsibility. That means that when you're able to wield that kind of power, it should be done so responsibly, with positive intention. And that, my friends, is what accountability is really about. Taking responsibility to wield our power to shape reality, as well as giving our best effort into making that reality a good one. And to take that a step further, let's look at it logically. A good reality is one that's unlikely to be disrupted. And in order to keep your individual reality from being disrupted, you have to consider a variety of outside influences and make sure that there is some kind of alignment between those factors and the created reality. Outside influences include and are mostly made of other people. Ergo, if you do not want the comfort of your reality disrupted, then it is in your best interest to help safeguard the security of those other external realities. Basically, no one is likely to disturb your peace without a reason to. If they're comfortable in their own reality, then they will have no reason or interest in stepping out of that reality and interacting with and attempting to influence yours. The double edge of this realization is why the golden rule was stated: treat others how you want to be treated yourself. If I don't want others to make my reality uncomfortable, then I shouldn't be making theirs uncomfortable either. So, getting back to accountability, having realized the things that I've already mentioned, I have also realized something very unsettling. Our modern society absolutely thrives on shifting accountability, mostly because people mistake it for blame. When there's a problem, nobody generally wants to be the source of that problem. Here's a newsflash, folks. We're all just humans being, no more, no less. We each make mistakes and bad choices at one point or another. It's a large part of what this human experience is. We can influence reality and correct mistakes, but only by recognizing and studying them properly in order to create solutions that will shift the reality to keep the same problem from reoccurring. But when we shift the perceived blame along with the actual accountability, we also give away our power to change things. This power is something that nobody can take away from you. The only way to lose it is to give it away freely. This is what's been going on rampantly in society. We're all handing our power to make change of our reality over to others who are obviously not shaping that reality with any kind of responsibility whatsoever. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in the situation so many of us find ourselves in now within our own individual realities. Even if someone is blameless in a situation, they still have accountability, which is the responsibility to use their power to influence a change that will resolve said problematic situation. It's time for all of us to take accountability. We need to take our individual power back and wield it responsibly ourselves and effect some much needed changes to reality. Take accountability. Take your power back. Influence change for the better. Quit accepting discomfort as your discomfort zone. I promise to do my best to help teach you how, even as I continue to learn it for myself. So that's the ride we're in for, folks. I hope you'll join me, and I'll catch you on the next one.